Peanuts at this point in time is iconic, I'd say. I think it's safe to say. It's embedded in pop culture. It's recognized by millions of people. You see Woodstock and Snoopy, you see them on everything. You see them on bags, you see them on t-shirts, they're everywhere. But opposed to something like Disney, you'll see you'll see Aladdin on something. Most people have seen the film Aladdin, and they know Aladdin, they recognize him, but with most people recognize Snoopy and Woodstock, but I doubt as many people have consumed the TV show and the films, or aren't as deeply familiar with it as they are with a Disney product they wear or something. And that's usually where the kind of love for the character comes from, the film. But it seems like Peanuts kind of stands alone from its own graphic design, which is a shame, because it means that not as many people are familiar with the actual animations and the films that it comes from. So it's kind of simplified the idea of what Peanuts is in the mind of the general public. It gets kind of swept under the rug as being this kind of unfunny, time-killer, junky thing from the 60s and just used to keep kids quiet, but that's a shame, because I think it has a lot of subtlety. I think it was so ahead of its time, because it feels like that only now cartoons are doing what Peanuts did in that sort of mature way of tackling difficult subjects like Steven Universe and Clarence, and that's the sort of slice of lifey, realistic cartoons, like cartoons that tackle real things from a kid's perspective and do it really maturely and talk to the kid, you know? That's what Peanuts was doing, and I think it's super strong in A Charlie Brown Christmas from '66 and the film A Boy Named Charlie Brown from '69, and I'm gonna tell you why. I've watched A Charlie Brown Christmas every year since I've been interested in Peanuts, and that's not really that long compared to how most people consider themselves Peanuts fans have been into it. I got really interested in Peanuts when I was like 15, 16, and I just loved the music and the tone and the pacing. I thought it was really lovely and nice, and it seems like a lot of, like kids in America grew up watching it on TV, because I'm guessing it gets played a lot on like Christmas and specials and stuff and holidays. And that doesn't happen in Britain. I've never seen Peanuts played on TV except the movie, the 2014 one. But to me, the special doesn't feel that Christmassy or nostalgic because of that. It just feels so different to all these Christmas specials I've seen, and says a completely different thing. And even though there's like so many copies and parodies of that one special, none of them seem to kind of replicate the thing that resonates with me the most. Like, look at this. The first piece of dialogue in A Charlie Brown Christmas is Charlie and Linus sitting on the wall talking about stuff, and Charlie Brown says, "I think there must be something wrong with me, Linus. Christmas is coming, but I'm not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel." Which is that entire special in a nutshell. Like, the rest is just Charlie Brown hopelessly trying to like force himself to feel how he thinks he's meant to feel during Christmas. And the bit that gets me is when he goes as far as like projecting himself onto this little tiny like worn out tree and thinking, yeah, this can be a good Christmas tree, this can be fixed, we just need to love it and it'll be great. Christmas can be an overwhelming time, especially for a kid. Like, there's so much pressure to feel happy in this time, and even when you're a kid and just figuring yourself out and feeling things that are just new and stuff, and even if you're a sad kid, it can be difficult because you don't know what's going on, and there's a lot of pressure on you to feel happy. People are complicated, and you can't always adapt to what's happening just for the convenience of the time of year. And Peanuts lets us know that this happens and that it's okay, at least until the end, where like they sing like Christmas carols and do like the nativity, and it's like, oh, I just needed Jesus to be happy. Yeah, I don't understand that ending. I feel like it was something the Schultz might have like opted for. I don't know. But before the ending, it's just a real cool and very different and interesting encapsulation of exploring a really small scale problem of a kid just being unhappy on Christmas. And it's just so different to Christmas specials where it's like, oh, we gotta save Santa to save Christmas, but it's like, no, I'm just not feeling it today, I'm sorry. And that's what it's like, and I love it. So whereas the special kind of got kind of muddy towards the end. A Boy Named Charlie Brown really fucking sticks the landing. It's so good. It's like, it gets me. So like the Christmas special, you can kind of, the first scene kind of acts as this thesis statement. Lucy, Charlie, and Linus are lying on a hill. They're looking up at the sky. It's a sunny day. The clouds are going, and Lucy's talking about how she loves watching the clouds, and Linus says, I can see the portrait of Thomas Eakins, the famous sculptor and painter. I can see a recreation of the stoning of someone from the Bible, and I can see the Apostle Paul throwing the stone, and it's like, it's crazy. And Lucy's like, what do you see, Charlie? And he's like, I was gonna say I saw a ducky and a horsey, but I think I changed my mind. And it's a great little thesis statement for the following hour and a half study of Charlie Brown's anxiety and feelings of inadequacy, and how they lead to him being a bit depressed and quite depressed. But it's good. It's a great little prompt for the rest of the film. So right off the bat, Charlie Brown is like painted as feeling really inadequate, and the rest of the film is him kind of seeking this validation from his peers and stuff. And so he wants to win a spelling bee, and he trains for so much of the film, and he like climbs the ranks, he goes all the way, beats the people, he gets to the final of a spelling bee competition thing, whatever. I don't know have spelling bees in this country. You've seen the rise of Charlie Brown from feeling inadequate to feeling like he has a skill and power and talent, and feels happy and fulfilled that he can do a thing, because every time he's won, he's gotten so much praise, and it's just fueled him to keep on moving and keep on going. And he reaches the top, and they say, spell beagle, Charlie Brown, that's your final word, and he fucks up. He fucks up big, and then he just gives up. He just stops moving. He stays in bed for like a week. He misses school. He's so upset. It's just so harrowing and familiar and awful, and it's so empathetic, and it rivals the scene from Welcome to the AHK when Sato has to like leave his apartment after 4 years and get a job, and it's just so sad, and it gives me like that exact same vibe and feeling. But eventually Linus comes in, and he sees if Charlie wants to play, and of course he doesn't. He's depressed, and Linus starts talking to him. He understands how he feels, and he gives some wise words and talks about how bad it must feel, but then he says, the world didn't come to an end, Charlie Brown, and he just leaves Charlie there to think about it, and Charlie just kind of like forces himself out of bed, and he's like, you're right, life goes on. This isn't getting me anywhere. I just need to move on and stuff, and I just need to start fresh and just stop ruminating on things. And I'm not projecting on Charlie Brown. I'm 95% sure that this is intentional subtext. He forces himself out of bed for a week, and he like opens the blinds or something, and like it's so dark in his room, and it's so like quiet for a kids show as well. Like, in like kids shows sometimes they'll do like Mickey Mousing, like someone opens the door and it's like boop, and someone walks down the stairs and it's like blah, 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 blah. But it's just so quiet in this film, and it just really like, it's just so atmospheric. And sometimes you'll get this little cool jazz during this scene, and it's like happens when Charlie's walking out the door, and he doesn't do anything special. He just walks around the town, just sees people hanging out. And it's just such a small thing, but it's just painted as it's the climax of the film. It's fucking insane. I can't believe that in 1969, it must have been so insane. Like, this whole film that builds up to a kid like winning a spelling bee and being the spelling king, and the final scene is him being depressed for a week and then forcing himself to get out of bed. It's just so insane, and it's so good. It's so different and so important, and it feels like it's really talking to a kid. It feels like a warm personal conversation from someone to it's like the images and feelings that beam directly into a kid's brain from the TV. It feels different to something like Sesame Street, and I fucking love Sesame Street, okay? Where it feels like, because of the broadness of messages, and what they're telling kids, the broadness of it, and how they're talking to everyone. And it feels kind of like someone on a stage talking to you. It feels like there's a bit of a distance, just because it's so general. And Peanuts is just a little bit more mature, and just everyone's different, and different approaches to different things are going to resonate with you differently. Because I'm sure Sesame Street's tackled depression in a way, but it's guaranteed different to Charlie Brown, And I'm not saying that Charlie Brown is the ideal singular way to tackle heavy stuff and mental illness in kids media, but it's just it's a great alternative, because I really think it would resonate with some kids more than others, and some adults. It resonates with me so much still. I love it. It's incredible. But yeah, these two, the Christmas special and the film, are just really great examples of how Peanuts approaches anxieties and depression in a way that is really, really unique and ahead of its time, and just so different, and so subtle and mature, and really treats kids respectfully and smartly, and it's really inviting kids to feel differently, and challenging them to think about how it relates to them, and maybe if a kid sees themselves in it, then it'll help them out. Because if you see yourself in Charlie Brown, you might not see yourself in Elmo, because they're different. But the bottom line is that Peanuts will always be in pop culture. We're in this cycle of people being exposed through parodies, and then continuing those parodies, I'd say, and the merchandise and stuff, And although the iconography, I think, is always going to be around, I think that kind of underlying melancholy and that sadness has been kind of watered down and taken out. And I think it's a shame, because it's important for kids and adults to hear and see it in such a down-to-earth and subtle way. And I'm so happy that cartoons are taking that style on board, and it feels like there's been this kind of renaissance of slice-of-life cartoons treating kids cleverly and maturely. And even though they're around and I love them, I miss this old Peanut style. It's very important and special to me, and I'm sure it's important and special to other people in the same way, because there was just nothing like that at the time, and it's just amazing. Thank you.
What do you think love is, Chuck?
Well, years ago, my dad owned a black 1934 two-door sedan.
What's that got to do with love?
Well, this is what he told me. There was this real cute girl, see? She used to go for rides with him in his car, and whenever he'd call for her, he would always hold open the car door for her. After she got in, and he had closed the door, he'd walk around the back of the car to the driver's side, but before he could get there, she would reach over and press the button, locking him out. Then she'd just sit there and wrinkle her nose and grin at him. That's what I think love is.
Sometimes I wonder about you, Chuck.